Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Crime Family. I'm your co host, AJ, and I'm here with my sister and co host, Lisa. Once again, Katie is not with us because at the time of this recording, she and her entire household are sick. She was unable to join, but she will hopefully be back with us next week for a new episode. But for this episode, we are going to be continuing our discussion of the Springfield 3 case. So if you watched part 1, we talked about, the timeline in this case, what happened when they went missing and when it was discovered they were missing and kind of some of the initial theories or the leads that kind of, were kind of theorized about or ended up going nowhere. So for this week, we're going to be talking a little bit more about some more in-depth theories or some of the bigger theories that are in this case or some of the bigger developments. And we're going to be just continuing our discussion of that. So go listen to part 1 if you haven't already, and then join us again for this one to hear the rest of our conversation on the Springfield 3. Lisa, once again, is going to be kind of taking us through this case. She didn't want me to do a ton of research on this case. She wanted to kind of be telling it and having me hear it for the first time as sort of a surprise and getting my genuine reaction. So I don't really know too much about this. So I'm excited to kind of hear the rest of this. So without further ado, Lisa can take it away.
I also wanted to mention something that I forgot to mention last episode. Police really focused on, they thought, they really do believe Sherill Levitt was the target. I forgot to say that. They think that just because she was the only one of the three who was expected at that house that night. Like I said, the other girls, no one knew the other girls were going to go there. So a lot of the police think Sherill was the target, which is very interesting because there's not a lot known about her private life. There was not a lot known about her relationships. There's not a bad word said about her. That's why a lot of people thought Bart Streeter was a perfect suspect, because maybe he went over to confront his mom about an argument they had, and he came in and didn't expect to see his sister and Stacy there. That is why Bart was considered such a suspect. But I also just wanted to say, forgot to mention that a lot of the police do believe Shell was the target.
Which makes sense. It's kind of a logical conclusion to come to.
She was the only one planned to be home, right? Like, it's so that's why, to me, Bart Streeter really did ring kind of raise alarm bells for me. He maybe called his mom intoxicated. Maybe he asked for some money. She said no. He came over there to confront her and found his sister and Stacy there, and things got out of control. I don't know, but there was no sign of struggle. Anyway, we always go back to that. There's no sign of struggle in the house. So what happened?
If Sherill wasn't the target, I tend to believe she also was, just for the reason she said. But also, if she wasn't, the only other thing I can think of is that someone was like following them from the party.
Well, that's what I mean. And that's why some people thought maybe Suzie's ex, right? But someone had mentioned in one of the threads that I read, maybe, like, no one ever really mentions, maybe someone from the graduation party had followed them home and heard about their plans. Like, maybe one of the students there, one of the couple students, like, yeah, it's the change of plans and knowing the two girls were going to be there that makes it all more perplexing.
Yeah. The only way that somebody would have known, like if somebody did know they were going to be there, if the two girls were the targets, like, was somebody at that party. Those are the only people who are actually like seeing them in the moment and know they're there, know they're leaving, and follows them home.
But it's like, in some reports it says they didn't just change their mind and decide to go to Suzie's house until they're already at Janelle's house. So who would know? Someone at Janelle's house?
Well, maybe someone followed them to outside Janelle's house and then was like parked and then saw them leaving again and followed them to where they were going. Like, maybe someone was following them around the whole night. Who knows? From party to party. And also, I can't remember if you said this last time. Do we know that they did leave just the two of them together?
That's what it says.
Or the three of them? Like the party. Like there wasn't another person with them.
It just says, yep, they walked home. It wasn't a far walk to Janelle's house. I'm guessing it was just it never really says. But also, when Janelle has done interviews and stuff, she hasn't mentioned anything. Like, she didn't mention anyone leaving her house, like someone leaving her house and following them, or it should be. I was under the impression it was just the three of them that went back to Janelle's house because they were gonna stay there. But
so unless someone followed them there without their knowledge.
Yeah.
Which is possible. If some creeper or stalker, like an ex-boyfriend or someone who's creepy, like he could have been following them in a car, like a little bit further back, and they would have never thought anything of it.
But then it goes to say who's parked in that carport.
Yeah. Well, he could have if he had a car, this person, but I guess why wouldn't she have been parked in the carport?
Unless, like, she was parked there, and then when he took the girls, he took one of the cars was taken, used to. I don't know. It's so the parking, the carport parking thing is something that a lot of people think is very important to this. Other people think not so much. I mean, I think it is, but
Yeah, because otherwise, Cheryl or one of the girls would have been parked in that spot.
yeah,
It's weird for all 3 of them not to be there unless there was another car also
yeah,
there, and that
yeah,
car wasn't there when they weren't like, when people came the next day. If, whoever was parked there is not there now, and we don't know who it was, so
yeah.
kinda suspicious.
Police also think a sexual psychopath. They think the crime. A lot of them think the crime is random. Some of the people in the police force, and it also says the police could never. Not all the police could never agree on one theory. There are some people who think it's random. Other cops say there's no way it was random. But some police think the crime was random. They think a sexual psychopath was driving around Springfield looking for victims. Perhaps he saw Suzie and Stacy driving past in their cars and followed them to the house on Delmar Street. Police do say one person could subdue the woman without a struggle. An FBI profiler said that they think one person probably committed the crime, which I was shocked to hear that they thought that.
So is that currently what they still think, that one person did it?
That's the last that they say about it. I think that's what they think now. This was an article I read, I think back in 2022, I believe. So,
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, it's really hard for one person to, like, take 3 people, but
yeah,
all you have to do is point a gun to them and threaten them, and
yeah,
then all
and
of a
that's
sudden you have them
yeah,
complying and you're not whatever.
yeah, and they think that's maybe had if you have a gun, it's easy to subdue anybody and tell them to quietly
Yeah,
leave the house, and be quiet and
yeah.
stuff.
Well, yeah, it doesn't explain why the light was broken, but
I know, it's just, um, but the FBI profile does go on to say that if there was a second person involved, he thinks that he or she may not have known they were getting involved until it happened. So they think it was definitely the plan of one person, and if there was another person, they had no idea until it was already happening. That's just what they come to. I don't know how they
how would they know
definitely.
that?
I don't know,
Yeah.
but that's just what they think. Another big thing investigators agree on for the most part is that the kidnapper would need a large vehicle, probably a van, to take his victims. So they believe he was familiar with the area of the crime, but they think they think the crime is random, but they think the person was from the neighborhood, essentially. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to go. So those are just other things I wanted to touch on that I didn't bring up in the last episode, but I'm going to go into the first kind of suspect that had a lot of people, like when you type in Springfield 3, this person, he's pretty much pops up right away as well. His name is Robert Craig Cox. So before the 3 women went missing, he actually was convicted of killing a woman in Florida. But at the time of their disappearance, that conviction actually had got overturned. Like, he was on death row for this, and a strange, in a very rare move, something it was overturned, and he was like let go, and he moved to Springfield a few months before the woman went missing. So he had pleaded guilty to kidnapping and assault in California. He served 9 years in prison, and then he was convicted of the murder of Sharon Zellers in Orlando, Florida, and he was sentenced to death. But I guess, yes, like I said, the conviction was overturned due to lack of evidence, and after that, Reversal Cox had moved to Springfield. And when he moved to Springfield, he actually started working with Stacy's dad at a car dealership. So that is why a lot of people think that's the connection. A lot of people think he maybe met Stacy at work and became infatuated with her, was a stalker and stuff. It doesn't explain why he would know they were going to the house that night. There's no reports of, like, him being seen anywhere at the parties or anything, like, there was no strange man at the parties looking at Stacy or something, I don't know, but they think because of that link, that was a possibility, but there has never been any direct evidence linking him to the 3 women's disappearance, and he has never formally been charged with the crime, but 'cause in the weeks after their abduction, Cox's girlfriend provided him an alibi and saying they were together when the woman disappeared. They said that they were at church, at 2 a.m. That was, like, the alibi that she gave. It was kinda just let go, like, there was no evidence that that wasn't the case, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's such an absurd alibi, you almost think it has to be true. Like, why would you make up that lie, like, that you were at
Yeah,
church at 2 a.m.? Like, that obviously sounds suspicious, so, like, why would
yeah,
someone be dumb enough to make up that lullaby? Like, almost
yeah,
makes me think it was real. I don't know.
yeah, and they so Robert Craig Cox, he was a highly trained Army Ranger, and he was once named Soldier of the Year. So, this kinda to me, like, this shows that he could maybe he was a trained army ranger, so he could maybe do things more stealthily, you know what I mean? And not have people hear him, see him, easy to go sneak around, I think. I think that's so I mean, when I found that he was highly trained army ranger, that kind of raised my antennas a little bit. But in the late 90s, he moves to Texas and he's serving a life sentence in Texas for armed robbery. And he's actually eligible for parole this year. I don't know if he ever got out. There's definitely no mention of it. In the 1996, he's in Texas serving a life sentence for robbery. And this is when an investigative reporter, Dennis Grave, goes to Texas to interview Cox about the missing woman. And all he says is, quote, "I know that they are dead," unquote. And then he says, and when he gets pressed about it a little bit more, he says, I'll say that and I know that. And he says that he doesn't want to say anything more until his mom passes. And at this time, at 96, his mom was 82. And he's like, I don't want to talk about it anymore until she's gone. So that's a little like he says he knows where they're at. He knows that they're dead, but that's all he's going to say. Also, in this time, this is when the girlfriend comes out to say, in a move that shocks no one, that she lied about the alibi and that she doesn't know where he was that night. That's why a lot of people think that he has something to do with it. But to me, he's not that strong of a suspect. Like,
I
yes, he
mean,
needs
why
to
would he say I mean, I guess people give false confessions all the time, but why would he
yeah.
say like, it's so annoying that he's gonna say he knows they're dead, so obviously he's, involved or insinuating he's involved, but he's not gonna say anything more. It's like, well, then
He
why did
probably
he say
just
anything at
wants the
all?
attention, you know? Like
Yeah. Which I guess
yeah.
people like, he's obviously a sick or weird person, so I guess it's not
Yeah.
out of the I mean, obviously he probably likes attention or is a narcissist, but I don't know, and also the girlfriend says she lied about the alibi. Why would you lie about the alibi if you're not involved?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless maybe they were doing something illegal, like maybe he was, like, doing drugs or something, and
Yeah.
she didn't want to admit that. So she
Yeah.
just I mean, I guess she could lie for multiple reasons, I don't know, but it's not shocking that she lied. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just annoying that it's
So,
like such a
yeah,
half
yeah.
measure. Like, I'm gonna, like, insinuate strongly that I'm involved or that I know what happened, but I'm not gonna actually say what I know. Like, I'm gonna insinuate that I know, but I'm not gonna say what I know. It's
Yeah.
like, fuck
Yeah.
off then. Like, why? Like, it's just annoying.
Until his mom's
So,
dead, and I mean, I'm sure his mom's dead now, like, she was 82, 33 years ago. But there's never been any update of did he actually keep his word and talk about where he is? He did, I mean, in '96, he does say that he believes the women are buried in Springfield. He says this, but then he denies any involvement. But then he says, "I know they're
well, how do
dead."
you
So,
know? Yeah.
yes, I mean, so I mean, it's not very an interesting theory, but it's one that is the most when you type like I said, when you type in Springfield 3, he pops up. A lot of people think he has something to do with it, so that's why I mentioned it, but to me, it's not I don't think he does. I really don't. What do you think?
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I would say probably not. I mean, I think they should definitely look into it more, like maybe follow up with him because he said like maybe if his mother's dead now, like maybe at least have a conversation with him, see what he says. But like maybe don't put all your resources into that because I don't think he just seems kind of like some gross sick person who just wants attention,
Yeah,
probably. But also,
yeah,
you can't rule out the fact like if somebody's giving you if they're
yeah,
insinuating that they might know, you have to at least follow that up. And it doesn't seem like there's any indication that they actually did that. So I don't know.
yeah,
But
I mean, yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't say. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, probably not, but not out of the realm of possibility either.
So that's, like, the big one. Well, not the big one, but, like, the most attached suspect, I would say, to this case. So I actually don't even know if he got out this year. He was up for it says up for parole in 2025. So I don't know if he actually got out or anything, but I haven't found anything that said he did. I doubt he did. I don't know. But as far as I know, he's still in jail in Texas. There's been no other like recent interviews with him. So it kind of just leaves it at that he insinuates that he knows where they are. And then there's a woman in 2007. Her name is Kathy Barrett, and she's like a freelance journalist in Springfield. And she gets a tip that the women are buried beneath a hospital parking lot, which at this time, it's just a dirt lot. It's now an actual parking garage and stuff, but it was just a dirt lot. She says when she brought this to the police, they just laughed at her. So she hires someone who uses like the ground penetrating radar that's capable of finding graves hidden under concrete. And he says the result of two images. He found two images. Some sources say he found three, both at different spots of the parking lot. But the police say the timeline does not add up because it's like when this parking lot was, it was a year later that the woman went missing. When this parking lot was first, when that dirt lot was created, a year later the woman went missing. And they say like when the parking lot garage started construction, if they were buried in the dirt, the excavation and everything would have found something when they built the parking garage, and nothing was ever found, even though that guy said he found something that looked like two different graves under the dirt, but nothing was ever unearthed. So then she says her theory is the girls were killed before morning, and that Stacy wasn't the target and she was just collateral damage. And she goes on Crime Watch to say all this, and she says this to the reporter. And so the reporter's like, "Oh, okay, like what do you think the motives were for killing these three women?" And she just looks at the camera and all she says is, "I'm not gonna talk about it." So then it's just like an awkward pause. The Crime Watch reporter's just looking at her, and then Kathy elaborates. She's like, "I know where they are, I'm just not gonna tell." And then then when she's asked why she's even doing this, like, "Why'd you even call us for this interview? If you won't share what you know," Kathy just replies, "Because this story needs an ending, that's why." So then it's just
You're not giving it an ending.
I know, I know. And so more awkward pause, and then the producer, you can hear the producer's voice in the back. He's like, I'm sorry, why are you agreeing to do this interview if you're not gonna say anything?" And so she just says, "I'm afraid for my safety." And then the girl's like, "Safety? Like, can you elaborate?" And she's like, "I've been boxed in by cars before, and somebody came up to me and asked if I was Kathy Baird, and when she said yes, the person apparently said, well, people I work for make people like you disappear." So she said she's been advised to leave the case alone. And
And
then
then she
so
agrees to go on national television on an interview talking
yeah.
about the
So
case,
and
but
so when
not
she's
really.
asked, like, who these people are, she refuses to say who's threatening her, but says she will never leave this case alone until she can prove who's responsible for making the Springfield 3 disappear. And then she just ends the interview saying, like, there's a reason this case hasn't been solved. And so I guess, and then it goes on to say, like, the reason why the police kind of laughed at her is that a lot of her tips come from psychics. It's literally, like, there's a big hoopla about this. I think it's like she's a freelance reporter, so she reports on this. So she kind of becomes, like, infamous for this case for a bit, and she goes on Crime Watch. And then, she just kinda disappears after that. And no one she never talks about, like, it's just like, poof, like, she goes on Crime Watch, she doesn't talk about anything, says, like, she knows what happened, but she was boxed in by cars, she's not gonna say anything, and then she just goes away. So that's
Ugh,
just another
whatever.
weird. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was just a
whatever.
weird. um
Done with her. That's annoying.
But I will say, a lot of people call police saying they believe the woman underneath this hospital parking garage. Like, they just they
Why?
I don't know, but that's what they say to this day. So as the Kathy tips came from psychics, the police don't follow it through.
I don't understand what this Kathy person's motivation is then.
I don't. She's wanting to be famous, I guess.
Because like, she's she is saying that she's been threatened, so and was told to keep quiet about the case, so then she goes on national television talking about the case,
Yeah, and
but
even
then
like
not really talking about it, like, just insinuating things and
yeah,
not
and
really
even the
giving any
reporters
answers.
like you called us for this interview, like.
Yeah, she wants attention.
Yeah, and her face is just like it's just a funny watch. Like, it's just like so unbelievable. It's just the awkwardness, and then like her just squinting at her, like when she says she won't talk about it. And then it's just fun. It's just like it's just odd. It's just like yeah, it's
Well, it's
just
like, I don't
very
really
odd.
understand. Like, yeah, because it's like, so if the story is true, then the person who threatened her, she's just making them mad. But then she's also making everyone else mad because she's going on TV about the case
Yeah,
but not saying anything. It's like, who
and like
like
she's saying stuff that anyone could say, and then she's insinuating stuff, thinking like there's a reason this case hasn't been solved. It's like, well, obviously,
well, yeah. Like, it's easy, yeah, it's easy to go on an interview and just say random things that you can't prove.
yeah,
Like, "Oh, there's a reason this isn't solved." It's like, "A psychic told me." It's like, when you're actually pressed about, like, the specifics of what you're saying, then to be
yeah.
like, "Well, no, I'm not gonna say anything." Well, it's like, shut up then. Like, don't
And
even come on here.
especially when she says the police laughed at her, I kind of felt like I think a lot of people are like, oh, like the police aren't doing the job. But then it comes out like, no, the police we laughed at her because she said a psychic told her.
And she's also not providing anything in the interview that's
Yeah, like
specific
nothing to
enough
go
to,
off
like,
of.
yeah. Like, maybe if she, like, said something that was, like, maybe something, like, super specific that would, like, make you think, "Okay,
Well, she
maybe
could have
she
told.
knows something."
Yeah,
But,
or
like,
like she
she's
could have
just
went off. She could have told the police off camera and told them, like, I don't want to be public. Like, I mean, I
yeah,
don't
like,
know.
you
She
yeah,
just.
like, anonymous tip, that's a thing.
Yeah, but
Like,
she
if you
just.
actually cared about the case being solved, do an anonymous tip. Don't put yourself on national TV to get
Yeah,
attention
yeah,
and then say that you're being threatened and people want you to stop talking about the case.
yeah. And I really
Yeah, I
want to
don't
know if
know.
she's still writing. But I typed in Kathy Baird on Google and it wasn't the right one. Like I could never find her. So um,
It's
I
probably an
just
alias.
it was very odd. Um, it was just very odd. I don't know if that maybe that was like I don't know if she started the whole rumor about the bodies being buried in the hospital parking garage and the public latched onto it, or maybe that was already a theory and she heard about it being a reporter and she snowballed onto that. I don't know what came first, but a lot of people think that hospital parking lot, that garage, the lot that gets brought up a lot in theories. The woman are buried underneath there for some reason.
But there's no reason we don't know why anyone would think that. Like, it's just a common thing that comes up, but there's never anything to, like,
I don't
actually
know, maybe because right after they went missing, it actually got built, and they think that was a good place to bury. Like I don't know, like it was. I don't know. It's just people think, but I hear that a lot in other cases too. A lot of people think it's built under parking lots and built under foundations of houses and stuff. So maybe just because it got built shortly after they disappeared or something. I don't know, but it is a theory that gets brought up, and the police never dig up. The police never you know dig up the concrete, and they never actually. The police don't think that's true.
I mean, but I guess the police also have to have something, pardon the pun, something concrete to go
Yeah,
off of.
yeah,
They can't just, like, dig up a parking lot because, I feel like
yeah,
there has to be, like, reason for
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like someone, I mean, other than, like, people just thinking, "Oh, it could have been a good place to bury someone," and then the hospital was built, but, like, that
yeah,
there's nothing to go on for that.
yeah, yeah.
Because
That's
also that's, like,
that's
a lot of, like, time and money and, like, digging up this whole
yeah,
parking lot for
yeah.
no reason.
And I mean, they do say there was nothing good enough for them to dig it up. This next one is one that we honestly probably could do a whole episode on. Just on this guy. I don't know if you ever heard of him. I haven't. His name is Larry Dwayne Hall. So people think he's not well known like Ted Bundy or John Gacy or anything, but people say he may be one of the most prolific serial killers in American history, but he was never convicted of murder. There's over 40 disappearances and murders that they think are linked to him, but he's never been convicted of any of it. He's suspected in over 40 disappearances. And so he confessed to several killings, and then the next day he recants each one. Larry Dwayne Hall, he's born December 11th, 1962 in Indiana. He actually has a twin brother, Gary. And he grew up being teased for what was perceived as like a low IQ and a speech impediment. So his low IQ score, like that's what his schoolmates he got bullied a lot about because of that. So in his free time, Hall would regularly help his father dig graves, and then as he got older, he took a job as a janitor after he left school. And then over the years, he was suspected of like such crimes as arson, vandalism, and other petty crimes in Indiana. And then in Michigan, Indiana later on, he was suspected of abducting young girls. Charges were never laid, but the two girls have never been found. So there's actually a true crime miniseries called Blackbird. You ever hear that? It's about him. I didn't
Yeah.
know this.
I haven't seen it, but I've, like, heard about it or seen it on.
Like I heard Blackbird. I didn't know it was about him though. So although Hall admitted to killing dozens of women and girls throughout the 1980s and 90s, like I said, he always recanted his confession. So he was sentenced to life in prison for kidnapping a 15-year-old in 1993, but he was never charged with the murder or any of the murders. So after high school, he began traveling across the Midwest to participate in Civil War reenactments, which is just so like like I just never heard of someone do that. He was just a Civil War fanatic. So he would go participate in the Midwest across the Midwest in Civil War reenactments. And it seemed that girls and young women would go missing in each town that he would visit throughout his travels. No one knows who Hall's first victim is or was. But in June of 1982, 19-year-old Naomi Ketter went missing in Wyoming. And then, like, 12 years later, when he gets arrested for other crimes, they actually found a document with Naomi's name on it among his things. So that put him on the investigators' radar for the disappearance of 15-year-old Jessica Roach in '93. She was last seen riding her bicycle near her home, and then 2 months later, her body was discovered in a cornfield. So witnesses recall seeing an odd man driving through the cornfield around the time Jessica's body was found, and the license plate was traced back to Hall. Why Larry Hall gets brought into the Springfield Three is because he was traveling around the Midwest doing reenactments, historical reenactments. They also, because he one of the places he was doing the reenactments was Wilson's Creek National Battlefield was located just 5 minutes from Janelle Kirby's house. And you'll remember Janelle Kirby was the friend that they had gone to, and they went to stay the night that night, and that's where they had gotten. They went to that house first to get ready for the night, Stacy and Suzie, and then they actually were supposed to spend the night there that night. And I guess Larry was just 5 minutes away doing a Civil War reenactment that day or something. So that's why he gets brought to. That's how he gets tied in.
That's sketchy,
And there was
I
also
would say.
two battle reenactments in the morning and afternoon of June 6th, located just 30 minutes north of Springfield. So that's why he gets brought into this because he was in the area. So what do you like think of that? Like there's a whole, like I said, there's a whole thing about like a map that he drew, like, but a lot of it has nothing to do with the Springfield Three. It's just about what he his other victims. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously kind of sketchy. What are the chances that he would be like
Hmm.
that close on that day? So I think that's definitely. I mean, I don't know. Like you said, we're not gonna go into like this serial killer's whole entire history. That'd be a whole other
No.
episode probably.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
the fact that someone who is in prison and thought to have killed multiple people was in the area the day these people went missing, like that's super suspicious.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like I don't know. I think like in some case, sometimes there are things that I think are you know coincidences.
Yeah.
Coincidences happen just all the time, but like that's something that I feel like would be very weird to have just be that I don't know a coincidence that big
Yeah.
without there being something maybe more
I
to it.
mean,
So I
and
think
the,
that would be if I was an investigator, that would be where I would go.
yeah, when they finally searched his van, they found like duct tape with fibers, news clippings about missing girls, violent pornographic materials. They had maps marked with remote wooded graves, but they say none of it was ever enough for a murder conviction. His only conviction, he was the kidnapping of Jessica Roach, not her murder. So he's serving a life sentence for that. But he is, like I said, he's considered probably one of the most prolific serial killers in America. That has never been convicted for a murder, which is kind of interesting. He's definitely a serial killer for sure, but that's how he gets tied into the Springfield Three. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he has anything to do with it personally. What do you think?
I do think it's I don't know. Like I said, if I was an investigator, that would be it would be just too much of a coincidence. If they can like actually confirm and like be 100% sure that he was in the area, like to me that's a little bit weird. He's like thought to have killed or people go missing in every town he goes to, and he's also in the town that these three people went missing from on the same day, close
Yeah,
by. Like to me, that's too much of a coincidence. But it could have also, like, if it's either that or it's someone that they know. I think
yeah,
I don't know because I don't know. I just think
yeah,
coincidences happen, but that would be the most wild coincidence, I think.
yeah, yeah. I'm leading more to it. It was someone that they knew for sure.
I don't know. I kind of go back and forth because I'm always like, if it's someone that they know, that answers a lot of the questions that I would have about what happened. Like the stuff that we do know, like the
Yeah,
car, possibly there being a car in parked there and the fact that they would let someone in and there's no struggle, whatever, like that would be the most common thing to think of. But I just, like I said, I find it so odd that this person would be so close to this
yeah,
case, like
yeah,
physically close, like in the same area, um, and knowing what we know about him or what we think we know about him. Like I just
yeah,
find that that would be very crazy.
yeah,
Like, it would be very crazy that like this man happened to be so close to them and that he wasn't involved. That someone else who's
yeah,
also crazy did this. I
yeah.
don't
So
know.
I mean, there's two like one's a serial killer, probably another one is a murderer of some sort, and they're both in the They're both there around the time of the disappearance. Another theory that someone thought, like, because they had just recently moved into the house, they thought that it could have been someone that Cheryl hired to work on the house. It's like a construction worker of some sort doing odd jobs, and maybe he knew that the 2 girls lived there alone, there was no man there. They just planned to come back. I don't know, like I said, I think Cheryl was the target for sure.
Yeah, but there was also no forced entry, right?
No.
So, but it was a small town, right? So they would
Yeah,
keep their door locked. So, like, the fact that there was no forced entry doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like, it could have been a random person who just the door was unlocked, right?
yeah,
Like, is that
yeah,
right?
and
I
then
feel like
some
I don't know if you said that, but
what?
that they never locked the door. Is that true?
Well, yeah, like, they when they got there, that morning, the door is unlocked, they didn't think that was a concern. Nowadays, I think everyone would. You don't leave don't but also at the time, the cars in the driveway, so maybe the door would be unlocked, he probably thought they were inside. Um, I don't know, and they said also all the car doors were unlocked as well, and the keys weren't in it. I always kinda thought, like, when I was just growing up and stuff, like, that maybe they had used one of the girls' cars to transport, but there was no mention that, the keys like, the car had been that there's no keys in the car, there was no evidence of anyone like, someone
Like
struggling in the
moving the
car.
car,
Yeah, yeah,
it's like the car is there because the girl parked it there,
yeah.
not that
Another
it
Yeah,
was moved after the fact or whatever,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, and then other people think, like, maybe when the girls came home in the morning, early in the morning, they saw the broken glass, um, and, like, they saw it already, and then maybe they went and told their mom about the glass, and that maybe all 3 girls were outside, and then someone took them from outside. Like, they went outside to, like, clean they were, like the broken glass caused them to go outside to clean it up, and that's when they were taken. Maybe they weren't even in like, the person didn't get in
Yeah,
the home.
but why would the glass be broken?
I don't know, or they heard
But
the
maybe
glass
that
break.
was a distraction. Maybe it was a
Yeah,
distraction to draw them out of the house.
yeah, it's
Like, if
because
they
that makes sense why
hear
there's no struggle in the house.
yeah, they go
Yeah,
outside to see what's going on, and that's
yeah,
when
like, or they heard the glass break outside, so they went
yeah.
outside, and that's when it happened. Or they noticed it when they got home, like, maybe like, I always assumed when I heard the broken glass I thought always assumed the glass is broken, like, the girls weren't aware of the broken glass. Like, but maybe they that caused them to go outside,
Yeah,
you know?
but the only reason that that glass would have been broken, like, in that scenario is he did it or that person did it purposely to, like, draw them outside. Because why would you break the glass? Like, if he didn't mean for them to hear the glass and just broke it, like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, the light was still on, so, like, you're not trying to make it darker. Like, what's the purpose of
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Like, that's just causing more, like, evidence potentially. Like, you don't know,
yeah,
right? Like, why would you do that? So I was thinking I think it was hit off in a struggle,
yeah,
but or maybe now I'm thinking of through, like, did that as I don't know, like, you would have to think like, you don't know that that's necessarily gonna work. It's gonna draw them outside.
yeah,
Like, you make a noise, like, maybe that would keep them inside. They don't wanna hear
yeah, well,
something's going on. Like,
I would not be going outside, when
yeah,
I
so,
heard
like, if
something
you hear, like, a
smashing.
loud noise smashing, why would you run outside? But, I mean, maybe, I don't know. So I was thinking, like,
Yeah,
maybe this person did it as a distraction to get them out there, but that seems weird, so I'm thinking it had to have been in the struggle.
yeah,
Those are the only 2 scenarios,
and
I
a lot of
think.
people think the 2 prank calls and message are red herrings and have nothing to do with like, they're trying to like, it was just something to lead them into another direction.
Like, the creepy guy who called,
Yeah,
like, a prank
and
call.
I feel like that's not touched on enough, like, of all days, of all mornings, he calls. It has to be connected in my mind.
Yeah, again, that would be a very weird coincidence. Like, how many coincidences can we just
I
accept
know, right?
in this
And
case, right?
they've just vanished, and it's I mean, so yeah, it's so like I said, you go to Springfield today, 33 years later, some of those signs are still and there's a picture of one of the posters in the storefront, and it's obviously very weathered and kind of ripped, but it's still on the storefront from 32 years ago, the very original posters, and it's considered probably the biggest case in Springfield, the most perplexing case. The police actually
What
say the police
No,
say
go
they
ahead.
actually have a room dedicated just for this case, the Springfield room, just completely dedicated to this case.
What
Like,
state
it's
is it again?
Missouri.
Missouri. Weird.
And they're
Yeah,
just
I think the prank caller, I don't know, has to be connected in my mind, but why would but I guess people have done that. There's other cases where people will call like, we just did, like, a couple seasons, whatever, we did the Long Island serial killer where the guy
mm.
was calling, like, the sister of one of the girls who went missing and, like, saying creepy
But
things
why
and, like, doing
call?
that. So people do that.
But it's like, you know, if you are responsible for the 3 people, why call an empty house? Who are you trying to scare? It just all happened that when he called, someone did answer. Someone was
Yeah,
there.
well, I mean, he
Probably wanted
probably
to
would
leave a
have
message
known
maybe.
that someone would have been there by
Yeah,
then.
it's like, did he know? How did he know someone was there though?
I mean, maybe you could just assume.
I guess.
Like, you think, "Oh, it's been a while, someone probably come over to, like, see if they're there," or, like, maybe they've been reported missing by then 'cause it was the same day, right?
Yeah.
Like, the
And then
same morning or the next morning.
it's like, but then it's like, did I mean, I wouldn't necessarily answer someone else's phone if I was there to check on my friend.
Yeah, me neither.
But I guess they don't have cell phones, so maybe, maybe it's them calling. They had, but like the cars were there. I was gonna say maybe they called saying that they got a flat tire. Can you like but the cars were there.
Cars are
That's
there,
the
yeah.
thing. It's like the cars are there and the persons are there. I would not assume they. For me, immediately something's wrong. But the fact that
Yeah,
they thought maybe they just went out to eat, so I'm gonna go out to eat too. Like I don't know. Some people
that's
even
weird.
hinted that but because Janelle, it was reported that Janelle's boyfriend deleted the message. Maybe that's something. Why did he delete the message? Like, did he know something about it? Like he deleted it. Like some say he deleted it right away. But I mean, anyone can point fingers. But it's like,
But also, like, if I don't know if you're in the house, like, these people who he went in and then the phone rang and they're like, "Oh, maybe it's them calling," but, like, why would they know someone was home to answer it if they call?
yeah. And
Like, you
there's
know what I
just so
mean?
many. Yeah. And there's been so
Like,
many.
they're not at the house and, like, why would they call and be like, "Oh, someone must be there. We're gonna call them and let them know where
Exactly.
we are." Like, that's weird. That wouldn't
Like,
happen naturally.
so if it was just a random prank call, they don't care who's home or not. They don't know anyone. They don't know this person from Adam, so they're gonna call, and if someone answers. But the fact that it just happened to be on that day is just crazy.
Yeah. So it has to be connected for sure.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
And
thinking,
this
like,
is
maybe it's a serial killer who was in the area, and then he's also weird and creepy, so he calls, like,
yeah.
mocking or, like,
And he makes,
taunting
like,
people.
sexual, like, remarks and stuff.
Yeah, because like, I also think the serial killer, like, those 2 things are both very weird coincidences to
Yeah,
not to neither one so if neither one is relevant and they're just that's like a 1 in a billion
yeah,
things, like, for a person to call totally separate from this on the morning of, and for this alleged serial killer to also be in the area at the same time and not
yeah,
be involved. Like, all of this stuff, like, at a certain point, you stop thinking it's coincidence,
yeah.
especially coincidence after
So
coincidence, I don't know.
right, like, so this person either got very lucky or he was just very good. Both,
Or both.
actually, yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's been so many persons of interest. I mean, I could just go on and on, like, so I talked about, yeah, Robert, and there's also, like, this guy, a businessman called Gerald Carahan, who was convicted in 1985 of killing Jackie Johns. Um, he has ties to Springfield along his legal troubles. There's another guy, a lifelong criminal named Steve. He allegedly bragged at a party about killing the women and burying them. He currently is in prison. Um, like I said, Dustin and Michael, who were, um, he was the ex-boyfriend of Susie. He had told police he wanted her dead because he would get off. He gave a statement about them. Um, but like I said, they were never looked into further because they had an
Yeah.
alibi, I guess.
I tend I tend to think anyone who says they know what happened, I don't know, like, the guy at the
Well,
party who
someone
said
sure does.
all this stuff. Yeah, but, like, I feel like the person who really did it isn't gonna say anything.
No,
I mean, unless I don't know, though, maybe I'm contradicting myself because maybe I said before, like, I don't know. Serial killers are crazy, obviously,
it's
and
just
creepy,
some
so but I'm just thinking, like, I don't know. So the serial killer you said that it hasn't been that's in jail, but not for
Larry
killing.
Hall.
He's not the same one that you talked about before whose girlfriend lied about the alibi,
No,
right? Those are 2
no.
different
So
people. Okay,
Robert
okay.
Cox is the one I spoke about before, and he was like in prison in Florida. Then he had a death sentence, and then he got overturned, and then he moved to Springfield and worked with Stacy's dad. That's him. And then Larry Hall is like the Civil War buff who was like he's, like, a suspect in, like, over 40 disappearances and murders, but has never actually been charged. He's in jail for, like, 2 for the kidnapping, but, yeah, those are the 2 people that really do pop up the most. Let's each say what we think happened.
Yeah,
I
that
think
was gonna be my next question. I was gonna be like,
yeah,
"What do you think happened?"
this is what I think happened. I think, it was graduation night, so the girl's gonna be got Cheryl thought the girls were gonna be gone all night. She had a guest over. Maybe things go wrong somehow. I don't know why. He's a violent temper, so I don't know. And then, the girls come home unknowingly, and but then I think, wouldn't there have been a struggle if he was attacking the mother? I don't know. I believe someone was there first, because I believe someone was parked. Someone came to visit Cheryl.
Like, you can yeah, but, I'm sure, if he, strangled her, that's not a struggle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Like, usually, I find, sometimes if that happens, they'll find, markings on the person who did it,
Yeah.
they're defensive wounds on the person, but, they never saw the person or don't know who did it. But, in terms
And
of,
then
things
but then
being strewn
he
about
puts her in a but there's nothing really much to clean up then. So he puts her in a van and what, comes back? Like,
no, I think what you said is
they walked
true.
in.
They walked in while it was happening or shortly after it happened, and he's still in the house, so he's,
Yeah.
panicking, freaking out, and then he figures, maybe I have to, now get rid of these 2 because even if they didn't see him, they could implicate him. Who knows what they know if they saw his
Yeah.
car there, right? Like, they saw his car there, they would know what car it was. That could implicate him, So
Yeah.
then, they go in, they go upstairs, they get ready for bed, whatever, and then that's when he, who knows what he does? I don't know. Threatens them, tells them to get up, and, leads them out of the house, but doesn't explain why the glass is broken.
Yeah.
That's still a mystery, but
I guess there's no definite. I can't, like, there's holes in every theory I have. So I don't have one concrete story. I also think the Bud Streeter is a strong contender,
yeah.
but, like, he went over to his mother's house and he wasn't allowed there, and he was mad. He was knocking on the door and she wouldn't let him in, so he broke the light. And then he bursts in somehow. She finally lets him in to try to talk to him, and
There's still no
something
sign of
happens.
struggle, though.
Yeah, I don't know. The sound, yeah. So that this
Why is the TV on?
people,
That's weird
yeah,
too.
and people
I
think,
mean, I guess
may
that could be any reason, but
a lot of people think maybe so. The fact that maybe the light smashed, they went outside to investigate it. A lot of people think maybe they all went outside for a smoke on the doorstep, and that's when they got attacked.
yeah, and that's why the light's broken, but nothing in the house.
And he said,
Maybe the perpetrator was never in the house. But
yeah, yeah,
but but I do
but, like,
think though there
no
has
one
to
heard
why was
anything.
yeah, and also the car had I feel the car had to have been parked in the carport. There
Yeah,
has to be. And so I the only thing that explains that is that Cheryl had to have had someone over who she knew who was in the who parked there.
yeah, yeah.
'Cause, there's no other reasonable
Unless
explanation of why that would have been.
unless Cheryl was parked in the carport, and then someone came, and they went somewhere in her car for some
And then
reason.
someone else came while she
I
was
don't know.
gone and parked there?
I always assumed that the cars are parked that way weirdly because someone else had someone had driven them. That wasn't the girls. That was always my thought.
It's possible.
Um, and there's no and I've never found anything about did they do DNA of the cars. Y- there was never any mention that there was unknown DNA in any of the cars. You know,
So we have to assume that they did test it or
and like
looked in it or did
yeah,
something.
and Bert Streeter, he wasn't allowed at the house. So if they found DNA of him being there semi recently, it was never said. So I feel like they didn't because then obviously he'd be a stronger suspect. If you haven't been in you're not allowed at the house, you haven't been there for a while, but yet here's your DNA recently. So there was no, I'm guess like there was no trace of him.
Yeah, maybe he
Maybe they,
stole maybe Cheryl's car was parked there. Maybe he stole the car.
yeah,
Maybe he stole the car, maybe she found out, got pissed, was gonna and then he came back and did something.
like
Um,
she came outside to confront him about the car, and he like knocked her out or something.
yeah. But then he
He was,
didn't
like, in a
go
drunken rage or
but
something.
then he didn't go park it in the carport again, he just left it parked elsewhere.
And then he came and then, like
How did he I mean, just walk there, I guess. How did he get away with it? There was another car, though. He must have had a car
yeah,
to take them away. What's he gonna do?
yeah,
Like, they were removed from the scene somehow. Had to have been in a car. Either they got into a car while they were alive or they were put into the car after they had died. But there was no yeah, I don't
yeah,
know. I was gonna say it's kind of like I mean, the cases are obviously not at all similar, but it's reminding me of when we talked about the Ellen Greenberg case because it's like no matter which side you land on, there's contradictory evidence for each thing.
yeah.
Like in that case there was, and then this one, it's like if you think it was a random person, there's contradictory things that just don't make sense in that scenario. But if you think it was someone that she knew, there's also things that don't make
And
sense.
I think what makes this case so different than the rest is that very rarely do 3 grown women go missing, vanish in thin air at night, and there's no evidence. No one saw anything, no one heard them. They live on a residential street, um, and they've never been found. No one's ever been arrested. They have no, like I don't think that happened. I think that's I mean, I'm sure this is the only story I know that this has happened, and it's just crazy. This is why it stuck with me. I remember seeing the missing posters on the magazines in the grocery store when I was little, and it's just eerie. It's just eerie. I hope for the sake of the families and stuff, I mean, Stacy's dad has already passed. I hope they do find answers before they're all gone.
Yeah. And we've said it in other cases too, like they're not knowing is worse. At
Mhm.
least if they knew what happened, even if it's the worst case scenario, at least there's like a little
Yeah.
bit of closure, you can move on. But like never that not knowing, it's like you're in limbo. It's like not knowing that is today the day that there's gonna be a breakthrough. Like maybe they'll find them or they'll find out who did it. Like just living with that like uncertainty would be like absolutely excruciating.
That's why it kind of points to maybe the person who did it was a career criminal because he didn't know there was no evidence left behind. He was an expert. Maybe it was a serial killer.
But there's
Like I
very
said,
few ways, even if you are an ex person who's killed before, to leave absolutely no trace
exactly.
of a struggle for 3 grown people.
I know.
Like, to me,
And like the fact that they said that it looked like Cheryl was in bed for at least a little bit of the night.
that's why I think maybe it would happen later on, like, she had been sleeping and then the girls came home and maybe someone followed them home. But then again, the car, why is she not parked? Like, that I keep coming back to the car.
Yeah. So
Like, to me,
I'm
that's the
pretty
thing that is, like, the most like
well when I watched the documentary and Nigel had said the cars weren't parked in the normal spot. I first I thought that was so silly. Like people park however they want to park, right? But she was adamant, like they always parked in the carport unless someone else was there. Like I know this. So the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, that is weird. So it all hinges on that,
and
I
all
think.
3 of the cars were, like, just not
One
they
behind
were
the other.
parked.
Like and also like the bags being lined up one by one. Who comes home and puts their bag on the living room floor next to someone? Like on the living room floor? Why not put it on a
I
table?
mean, I can't really explain that in either scenario. Like, whether they did that themselves
Yeah,
was weird, I can't explain, or why the person would do that after the fact. Like, why?
and they didn't take
I
anything
mean
inside. There's money, there's cigarettes, there's jewelry. They didn't take anything of value. That's another weird thing. Didn't take anything of value. They nothing there was $900 cash. Nothing was taken, like, jewelry on the sink, you know what I mean? Like, then,
yeah,
you
so the
know?
motive wouldn't have been anything other than to kill. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't a robbery gone wrong,
And
or it
I mean,
wasn't a
and you don't see a car in the driveway at 1 o'clock in the morning and decide to go and expect no one home when you're robbing. Like, you go there to hurt someone. You expect you see someone you know someone's home. So it couldn't have
yeah.
been just a robbery gone bad. I don't even think the robbery was he went there to hurt someone. Um, I mean, it was
Or it's
just
someone that Cheryl knew and something happened when he was there
yeah,
and
and the girls just
escalated.
happened to the girls changed their plans and decided to go home that night. I mean, if they had driven to Branson, it could have just been and the mother could just still be missing, you know? Like,
Yeah, this would have been like the case of 1 woman who
yeah,
went missing,
but
not 3
fate made them
people.
fate made the minds got changed at the last minute and they went home and I mean, that's just how it happened. Like, never know what could happen, like what, like where life can take you.
Yeah.
I
So I
don't
guess
think they're
my
still alive. Do you?
no,
No.
no.
and some people have said sex trafficking ring. Maybe some people at the party were working for a higher.
Yeah, I think in either scenario, I think it's like there was one of the 3 at least was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, either the 2 younger girls were the targets, and they just happened to kill the mother or take the mother because she was involved or was there when something happened, or the mother was the target, and the 2 girls
I
just
never
happened to
thought
be there.
Shell was. Yeah, I never thought Shell was the target at first because I always thought it was had to be two of the one of the 2 girls that were the target. But then when the cop said she was the only one that was expected home that night, I'm like, "No, she's the target." I'm convinced she was the target.
Yeah. So I would say my final analysis or my final thought, I was like, what I think happened is like, if I had to pick a case or if I had to pick a theory, it's like someone that Cheryl knew was over at the house when she thought the girls were gone, and they parked in the carport.
But, like, Shell would always park in the carport, so why would Shell not be in the carport? How would Shell get out if someone was behind her, parked behind her?
True. Yeah, yeah. Because why couldn't that person just park outside the carport? Like, if she was
Yeah,
already in there, like, why would it matter that that person?
unless she parked behind it, but that doesn't explain why Cheryl's car was not even in the carport at all in the this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The car thing is
Right?
weird.
It's so
That's what I come back to.
strange.
Like, I'm trying to think of a scenario that would include all of those
I
pieces to have
know.
happened, and I can't
Yeah,
really think of it,
I
you know? I'm
know.
trying to think of, like, yeah. Because the only thing, because you were saying about the car is, like, maybe it is someone that Cheryl knew that she was expecting over, but, like, maybe Cheryl took her car to, like, run down the street to go get cigarettes or something, and this person
Yeah,
came in the meantime and parked in the
yeah,
thing, and then when she came home, like, she just parked off to the side because
yeah,
you know? And that person was already inside the house when she got there, but, like, she was expecting them, so she
yeah,
wasn't, like, weirded
mhm,
out. I don't know. That was something I
mhm,
was thinking of too. And then, like, whatever happened, she just never got around to, like, putting her car back into the
yeah,
thing, right?
yeah,
That's my thing. But, like, I don't but then the person would think, like, "Well, maybe I should park off to the side so that she can get in the car because she would wanna go in
yeah,
there." I
yeah,
don't know, like, it's weird. I don't know.
it's very strange.
I
Yeah,
can't really think of it. I mean, we could go on for hours of thinking of the
but and
possible
this and like I
scenarios,
said,
but
there's a rabbit hole on Reddit, on Facebook, about people who are from Springfield. Some people say, "I know someone who was a suspect." I know, like, and it's I literally could spend weeks in each theory. I just picked the ones that were most, prevalent, I think.
yeah, basically, unless we did our own, like, 10-part series, we're never gonna be able to
Yeah,
include
and there is enough
everything.
definitely for 10 parts, but
Yeah,
it's already
like,
been
we could
done
do an
by this.
episode on each of the theories on their own and just
Yeah,
dissect each one like we could
yeah,
have, but
yeah.
didn't. But yeah, it's crazy, I don't know.
So if anyone has any information about the disappearance of Sherill Levitt, Suzie Streeter, and Stacy McCall, they're asked to contact the Springfield Police Department at 417-864-1810 or Crime Stoppers at 417-869-TIPS. And so that was 30, so it's been unsolved. It's 33 years. The anniversary just passed back in June of 33 years. And there's been no recent leads or tips at all. That is
Wild.
the Springfield, yeah. That is the Springfield 3. It's the crazy, crazy case.
Crazy. Crazy, and maybe who knows if there hopefully there are going to
I
be
hope it gets solved in
developments.
my lifetime. It's one that I always go back to once in a while and read about again. Their missing poster just has always stuck with me, and it's just I really yeah. So I hope some more than one person knows someone about it. Then they should just really come forward for the family's sake at this point. You know,
Yeah,
a lifetime has passed. It's 33 years. I'm 33 years old. My whole lifetime, these people have been missing, and it's just time to come
yeah.
forward.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, just for the family, like, I couldn't like we said before, I couldn't imagine just, like, having that of not
Yeah.
knowing. Because
Yep.
if at least if it had been solved relatively quickly, like, it would've been they would've had 33 years now to, like, grieve and,
Yeah.
like, you know, move on
Yeah.
not move on, but, like, get closure when, like, you never get that opportunity to have that, so it's like 33 years of misery, not knowing and, like, thinking of all the possibilities that could have happened, and also not, like, trusting anyone, like, you don't
Right.
know if someone that you know is
Yeah.
involved or knows more, like, you know, and you can't help but think of all the theories yourself of what could possibly happen based on what we know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So,
just the what ifs and
yeah. So I think more so for anything else, like just for the families that they can just get the closure that they deserve, right? After
Yeah.
33 years, if nothing
Like,
else.
more it's I mean, it's not just the perpetrator that knows. I think more people are privy.
So who knows if, if hope it gets solved and if,
If there's any updates, we're for sure gonna run
yeah,
in here and report on it because, I mean, if there's ever an update, it's gonna be probably one of the biggest groundbreaking updates ever because this is considered one of the weirdest true crime cases ever.
yeah. And if we're still doing the podcast when there is an update, there is getting, I don't know. I feel like there has to be an update. We just hold out hope. I mean, after 33 years, it's less and less likely, right? But
Yeah.
always hope. And if we are still doing the podcast when there is one, we will for sure do an
Yeah.
update. We'll do a
Yeah.
full episode on the updates and all that.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, I guess. That does it for our coverage of the Springfield 3. We're on social media. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, Crime Family Podcast. On YouTube, you can watch the video versions of the episodes, as well as on Spotify. You can watch the video versions. We're also on Apple Podcasts too. We're also on like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Crime Family Podcast. You can send us an email if you have any case suggestions or if you have any feedback on this case. Like, maybe you just have theories and you want to discuss them, send us an email. I will say, though, do not send us any. We've had in other cases before, we've had emails where people will say, "Oh, I think I might know," or "I know this person who might know this person." And it's like, we
Yeah.
are not
Yeah, the police.
investigators.
Yeah.
So send that information to the police. Yeah. Just don't send us any information that you think could be relevant. Like, call the numbers that we provided that we'll put in the show notes too. Call the police, whoever. We are not investigators and we're not involved with law enforcement. So we can't really do anything other with that information other than submit a tip. But like, you're the one who might have the information. So it's why put it through the telephone game through us,
And, like,
just
other than,
do
like,
it.
a psychic dog told you, I don't think any tip is too silly.
Yeah. 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 So any tips that you think you might have on your own, go to the law enforcement, call the numbers that we provided. But yeah, if you do have any like just theories or you want to discuss the case with us, then you can just send us emails, give us your feedback, case suggestions, all that stuff. So crimefamilypodcast@gmail.com for any of that stuff. So yeah, thanks so much for listening to the two-part episode. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, and hopefully Katie will be back with us next week if she's feeling better. So until then, take care. Bye.